So I invented a new term called passive racism because it is an aspect of institutionalized racism where you accept that people put themselves above and or below somebody else based upon a societal construct like a degree, like a job, like some kind of position in a company. And yeah, you could say, well, they've earned their way into it. Well, okay, that's fine. You can earn your way into a position because it shows that you have capability. But when you start making snap decisions and judgments based upon somebody's lot in life or based upon their position in life, and then you discriminate whether you love them, or you hate them, it doesn't even matter, because anytime you give preferential treatment to somebody, whether it's love or hate, because those are two sides of the same coin, that is a passive racism. I mean, I know it sounds very far-fetched, but racism is when you look at physical characteristics of somebody, and then those physical characteristics manifest into behaviors, and then those behaviors manifest into things that you have acquired material-wise, and then people make these decisions and judgments based upon you, whether they love you or hate you. And so that is a type of passive racism. And that's why I have an issue with love and hate. Because love and hate is saying that you have a preferential over something else. So that's why fans are fans. They can love me or they can hate me, but they're preferencing my information over something else. But how do you pick something if you don't preference? Well, I mean, it's like you don't love me or you don't hate me. You get that I'm focusing on things that no one else is really focused on, like indefinite life or reversing cancer, disease, and chronic illness with something like probiotics and cabbage, water, and salt. But everything has a balance. Everything is a factor. But it's how do you put together and conglomerate elements and ideas to have a specific outcome. And so passive racism happens in all forms or in all areas of society. I mean, I dealt with passive racism in my own household as well as direct racism. I have dealt with passive racism in people in my group, my Jilly Juice group. Okay, I've dealt with passive racism with people who are outside of Jilly Juice who have an opinion. When you have an opinion on something that you have no business on because you don't have personal experience with that, then that's being passively racist because you have an opinion on something that you know nothing about. You've read something, you have listened to someone else's perspective on it, but you absolutely have no physical relationship with me or the Jilly Juice protocol. And so the only people that really have an opinion, that can have an opinion about Jilly Juice, are those that are actually doing it. But even when you're actually doing it and you have an opinion, okay, it's still an opinion. It's still a perspective that, yeah, it carries weight, but then that's when you look at the laws and the rules and then your perceptions. So everybody on my Facebook is practicing direct racism and passive racism because they have not figured out where they're responsible in contributing to it all, and they have an opinion on something they have no business having an opinion on. Like the articles, people that write, all the journalists are practicing passive racism. Every single journalist has practiced passive racism because they are giving an opinion on something that they absolutely have no idea. They have no physical or any kind of experience in that situation. So they're writing about something they have no business writing about. That's what you have to understand, that journalists are actually passive racists because they're giving an opinion on something they have no business giving an opinion on. And all of you that are having an opinion on something, such as what happened out there, or about a person, or about an incident, or about a war, or about whatever, have practiced and accepted passive racism. And so when you stop looking out there and giving opinions on what goes on out there, and you start actually looking within, and you figure out where you're responsible in the overall scheme of things, and how you are changing society, not writing about society or having an opinion on society, then you can actually be credible. But credibility comes from taking personal responsibility. See, that's the thing. And when we make accusations on people, like, oh, you're a narcissist, or you're racist, or you're that, it better come from something. You better have some kind of direct relationship. But I can call it for what it is, because racism, by definition, is where you discriminate by showing preferential treatment, whether love or hate. You're discriminating based upon physical characteristics and behaviors. And then those behaviors manifest into financial status. And so when you get a degree and you use that degree as a way to make you feel like you are superior, or when you're telling someone, well, you absolutely have no business having an opinion because you don't have a degree, that's a racist way of dealing with that person. That's passive racism, and that's it. That's direct racism. Because now you're showing hate, which is preferential treatment. So it's like having no opinion on anything means that you are dealing with your own shit. When you make no accusations on anyone personally, unless you've dealt with them personally. But I mean, when people say, well, why are you calling everybody racist out there, Chili? You're calling all the journalists, because they don't have a direct relationship with that situation. When you're seeing people writing articles about somebody with their slant, they're not just talking about, okay, you have this person who killed this person, and that's it. And they offer no adjectives. But then what kind of article would that be if you're not reaching people by emotion? The reason why we have journalism is because people are trying to grab your emotions so they can get readership. Because those emotions have triggers, and those triggers create into action. Those actions turn into money for a lot of different people. So journalism is by nature a direct racism as well as a passive racism. Because they can't be objective. Journalism cannot be objective because it would not sell. When you're just stating the facts that a human killed another human on January 24th, 2012 at 5:55 p.m., that would be a one line. One human killed one human in this area, and that's it. But when you have pages and pages of words, with adjectives and adverbs, holy shit, now it's turned into from objectivity, which is just straight facts, to then subjectivity. So this is insane. It really is. It's crazy to really now tear apart what truly racism is, because it's not about ethnic background. It's the fact that you show preferential treatment. Whether it's love or hate, you're showing preferential treatment. What about mutual respect? But see, that's the thing, is where words, you're involved when words don't trigger you. When words are not used to make you go one way or another, where it's not having an intention to sway you in any which way or direction. Words can be used to brainwash people into them feeling inferior and superior, but words also can convey just a set of facts. Autophagy is when the body is purging. Autophagy is the disassembling of mutated cells so for others to regrow. When there is a killing, it's one human killed another human on January 24th, 2005. They don't offer any race. They don't offer any occupation. They don't offer anything that would have you think in any way, shape, or form. It's just one human killed one human on this day, at this time, at this hour, in this area, and that would be an objective point of view. That is what journalism should be. Not the shit that you're seeing out there on the internet, as well as the newspapers and on the news. The news does not report anything objective. None of it is objective. It's all subjective. And then they create a system, the educational system, to then infuse institutionalized racism. And then we teach our kids, for you to be better than this person, you got to get this degree, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to get this job and do that. And then you created your child to make them think that if they do this, they are better than this person. And right there is institutionalized racism. It's so insidious. It's crazy. It's insidious. So education does not make you better. Education, in a lot of ways, has created a weapon of mass destruction on a lot of people in our society. And so what is the answer is how are you changing your world? And the solution really is what are you changing in your world? Not that, oh, you're a good person because you've accepted all these races in your house. Oh, you're a good person because, I don't know. People will have all these things. Oh, I'm not racist. But then they're actively calling people narcissists. Okay? It's the same thing. When you are characterizing somebody, whether it's good or bad, it's showing preferential treatment. So now, what about putting out fact? What about putting out objectivity? Not your perception of somebody else, not your characterization of somebody else, but straight up freaking facts. Then you got to know the laws of the human body. You got to know the laws of the land. You got to know a lot more than what you know already. See, opinions are like assholes. Everybody has them because it's all about their perceptions, their filtration process, all of that crap. And that's what causes racism. It's showing preferential treatment based upon perceptions. And then when you go and watch videos on someone else's perception of someone else's perception, you're contributing to the racism because you're not taking any personal accountability. That's why I want you guys to create your own videos. That's why I want you guys to create your own testimonies on your own journey. That's why I want you guys to create your own poems on your own journey. But some of you are going down these rabbit holes of videos in YouTube because you want an answer out there that you don't even hold within inside of you. You think the answer's out there. You realize that when you do the J-Juice, the answer is in here. You can be the one to create a video. You can be the one to create your own poem. You can be the one to create your revelations of your contribution to the failure of the system. You all have that capacity to do that, but no, some people don't want to face their own demons or face their responsibility and how they've contributed to all this. Face that they've supported institutionalized racism. And I don't know the answer of how to get you guys to look within, not look out. But that's going to be a personal journey. And let me tell you, that's why Jelly Juice is not very popular. I mean, people know about it. They hear all the racist remarks about J Juice. But to actually put J Juice into action is going to take a whole lot of work. And it's not trendy. It's not fancy. It's not emotional. I mean, it can be emotional. But it's not, how would I say this? It's not easy. It's not like exotic. Jelly Juice is not exotic. Jelly Juice is going to force you to look at your freaking self. Jelly Juice is going to force you to look at how you raised your kids and what you've put out there in the world. Jelly Juice is going to make you look at your hypocrisy. No matter how much you say you're not hypocritical. Oh, believe me, when you say you're not hypocritical, you are hypocritical. And if you don't recognize that you can't even catch your own hypocrisy, believe me, the J-Juice ain't doing shit for you. I recognize my hypocrisy, and I will say it. I will honor, I will see it, I will say it, and then I move on to the next thing. Because it's no big deal. So you're hypocritical. Everybody is in some way. You own it, and then you say, okay, this is where I'm not going to be hypocritical. But yeah, I mean, it took me a while to figure out where I've put myself as far as institutionalized racism, where I allowed people in my life to tell me that I wasn't worth something because I didn't have this, or that. I allowed that in my life. I actually brought that in my life. Shit, hold on. I've allowed institutionalized racism in my life. I've allowed people to dishonor me. I've allowed people to belittle me. I've allowed people to make me feel less than. I've allowed that. And when I stopped allowing that, was when I actually saw my own self-worth and saw that was evil. And some of you have allowed people in your life to belittle you. You've allowed the system to belittle you. You've allowed a lot of people, you've allowed your friends and family, your husband, your wife to belittle you and make you feel less than. And then you're fighting against that, and then you project that over there. And then you're allowing it right here. See, that's what passive racism is, when you've allowed people to put you above or below other people. That's why I don't want people revering me. When someone was like, "Oh, you're such a great teacher, Jillian," I hate that. I don't want to be better than anybody else. I'm not better than anybody else. I'm the most normal person with my own issues. I go up and down and fluctuations, and I yell and I scream and I poop and I pee and I have weird dreams and I drink coffee and I peel when I have a little bit of sunburn. I'm no better than anybody else. And you guys kind of feelings like where you don't feel the way you used to feel. Some of you want to feel like you're better than people, and you project your own discrimination and racism, and that's where you don't want to change society because you want to feel superior. So that's why some of you don't want to do JJ's, because you want to feel superior. You like the position that you're in. You like your ivory castle that you put yourself in. But I'll tell you what, when you do JJ's, you can still have your ivory castle and all of your material goods, but now you're not projecting that superiority. And then you realize balance. Then maybe you can put your money to a better use than creating the division in your family or in your society. So yeah, racism is where you personally put yourself above and below other people, and then that's how you want them to relate to you. And if they don't relate to you in that way, shape, or form, then you're going to treat them like shit. And that's what I've dealt with my whole life until I stepped away from that. Because I could find so many instances where my mother treated me different than other people. Oh, she can't say she's proud of me, but she'll say to someone who has a PhD, a doctorate in education, "Oh yeah, but Jilly Juice and Jilly Juice protocol, oh no, that's fucking stupid shit. No, I don't agree with that." Right. That's racism. That's what I deal with. But hey, if someone doesn't agree with you, okay, big deal. But they treat you differently, when it's a very unequal playing field. When you're driving their relationship, they're not doing shit. That's when you know you're unequal. So you got to realize this stuff, you guys. If you don't recognize this and what your contribution is to institutionalized racism, whether you're putting yourself above or below, then you're oblivious and you're not doing enough J-juice. And if you can't take responsibility, if you have an opinion on anything, then you better take responsibility. If you have no opinion on it, really legitimately no opinion, if you really can say you have no opinion on something, then it means you haven't taken part in that, in whatever. But if you're doing a diet, if you have issues with anything in the system, if you have any issue with the system, whatever it is, I don't care what it is, any issue, then you've contributed to it. And so it is like, it's not existent. Anyone out there doesn't have an opinion on something, because you all do. Some of you are just keeping it to yourself because you don't want to show your cards. I get it. I know. My mother's the same way. She was sure she didn't give me her opinion on certain things because she did not want to show her cards. So I know those tactics too. When you're silent about some things because you know you have an opinion and it's not going to be popular, so you shut up. But did you really truly earn not having an opinion? Some of you have not earned that. Like you have not earned your healing and you're pain free. But some of you are very, very crafty in keeping your opinions to yourself because you know if you do, you are showing your cards and then people will use that against you. And they could, yes, absolutely. And they would have every right to use your opinion against you because it means that you do hold some responsibility, but you choose not to hold responsibility or own up to it. So anyways, I gotta go. My husband called me. Bye.